the Sentinel mindset.
This is a baton. This is an instrument used for many law enforcement and security organizations that have training. This baton here is going to be the main focal point as to a video we're about to watch on what would you do to find out if security was able to utilize this in the proper format. The purpose of today is to, again, learn from this, and there's no one better for us to assess a video than Steve Summerville, president of Stay Safe. How are you doing today?
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Very good. Let me just close this.
Yeah, close it up.
There we go. There we go.
baton.
Yeah, I actually got hurt, Steve.
I know. I saw
opening that up. So we're gonna watch a video today, Steve, and it's a video that I guess came into some social media networks. Right, it hasn't made news or nothing of that sort.
Correct.
But it's something that I felt because part of Stay Safe programming has a lot of baton training in place.
Yeah, we provide intermediate weapons, as it's also referenced as, or a tactical baton.
Right.
Absolutely, and it was certainly used in this video that we're about to go through.
100%. And I thought because of what happened and involved the baton, that we would just, kind of dissect it. And for everyone listening, the reason why we do these videos is so we can all learn from them. Nobody is perfect. Anyone will get into the heat of a moment, but at the end of the day, there's certain things that you can do that can also potentially park your career in a certain area of law enforcement or security if you're not utilizing these tools properly. Now, Steve, just to start this off, what would be would this be just considered a baton, just calling it a baton?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, simple enough. It's a baton,
Okay.
expandable baton.
All right. And for those listening, what is the purpose of a baton in the use of law enforcement / security?
Well, sure. It's a defensive tool. It's a tool used to protect, to create distance between you and a threat. And certainly at times when you feel you're being overwhelmed physically by a situation where there's a lawful arrest or a lawful process, it would enable you to gain the advantage, the tactical advantage, if you will, to be able to implement use of force applications that would be above and beyond just normal hand-to-hand or grappling.
Okay.
Or trying to secure someone. But a baton it might require for strikes. It could keep people at bay. It could protect yourself or protect others. It's deemed to be and intended to be a defensive tool, authorized for police use and, in this case, licensed security use.
Okay, so you say authorized, meaning as in can the general public go and purchase this and just walk around with it?
Generally, no. That would be probably a weapon, carry a concealed weapon. And in that sense, there could be certain criminal matters or litigation aspects to it. Okay.
And just to kind of push a little further here, if an agency or service has authorized their members to use this, would there be training involved for something like this?
Yes, indeed. The Solicitor General, and we're going to speak to, if I may, about security application. As a licensed security entity in Ontario, you would have to seek permission from the Solicitor General's office. You would have to supply a course outline in a resume or CV of the trainer they would authorize or not with respect to your particular company using it. There'd also have to be a business case. It would be at a particular site where perhaps there have been incidents of violence or calls that probably would subjectively articulate the need for a baton by use of guards. Mm-hmm. But it's not random. Not every guard in the province uses it, and there's likely, depending on where you work, no need for it. But in this particular case, this is a mall in Hamilton, Ontario, and there would be a suggestion that a business case would be valid.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, we're going to watch a video, everyone, that basically, like I said, came out. So this happened in Hamilton. I don't know this area too well. Jackson Steps, it's called, or something?
It's a Jackson Square Mall.
Jackson Square Mall, okay. Mm-hmm. And Steve, I think you said this best. We're watching a video from when the recording started.
Well, right. You're stepping into a movie theater and the movie's already running.
Right.
And by the way, your viewers have a right to opine. I'm not telling you should see it a particular way, but just a way we can look at a video, subjectively or objectively. I recognize that when we start to see this clip, something's occurred prior to, don't know what it is, that you see the opening video shot where a security officer has his baton up to his shoulder. There's a second security guard standing off to his side, and they appear to be speaking or some form of communication with an individual holding on to a dog on a leash.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's all we know.
All right. Okay, so why don't we dive in then?
Go.
And we'll do a play-by-play.
Absolutely.
All right, let's do this. Okay, so for those listening right now, we're approaching a security officer.
Yeah, and even stop right there. You notice the security officer there, and this is a licensed security firm. They're reputable security firm, well known in the province of Ontario. He notes here that not the person whom he's speaking to, but a bystander, a concerned citizen, is recording it, likely on a cell phone. And he starts to verbally accosting the security officers, not the person holding the canine, but the person who appears to be having the most difficulty with security action or presence is a person that we don't know their involvement or why they're involved. But he's calling out, there's a lot of name calling, as you'll see unfold in a moment. And he starts calling out here the reasons, the rationale for the security officer on the screen has had his baton out, and he's somewhat suggesting it's inappropriate.
Okay, and now looking just by this, we're going a little bit further. The security officer does look semi-relaxed and has the baton on his shoulder. Okay,
I'd agree with that. You never know what another person's thinking. I can't read a person's mind, but the baton is up to the shoulder, which is usually, it's called the ready position in training.
Okay.
And usually that is the position that you would hold or place your baton if you felt the need you might have to use an exercise or administer a strike.
Okay. Okay. All right. Let's continue.
No. What are you doing, bud? Yeah, we'll leave him the fuck alone.
Okay. I'm going to stop it right there.
Yeah. Fair.
I'm noticing right now one of the agents is very upset, very angry, and using profanity.
He's using profanity. He told the person, to piss off. In communications training, or training where we utilize verbal communications as a means to de-escalate or introduce yourself, that's not consistent. We know that. Now, I'm not certain if there's a previous history between this particular security officer and the person whom he's speaking to. But right there, I'm not saying that it's criminal or it's inappropriate. Well, yeah, I would say that. The language is inappropriate. That would not usually, that sort of language, tell a person to piss off. It doesn't usually speak to trying to calm you, trying to establish rapport, trying to lessen your agitation or anger. That would probably escalate a situation as opposed to de-escalate.
For sure. And we're going to actually hear that word being used quite a bit
Yes.
by the actual person filming this video.
Correct.
All right, let's continue.
Doesn't matter. Fuck you. Go into the fucking mall. That's where your job is. Why are you kicking him off? Because it's... So what? So what? So you pull your fucking baton out, you piece of shit?
Now stop there, if I may,
What's wrong
please.
with you?
You're hearing language. You're hearing the person talking about, this is the person now holding with the canine, which I'm assuming, I shouldn't assume, but I'm assuming through the video that was the object of the security guard's reason or rationale for pulling his baton. Top's a free country, and you'll hear unfold about maybe a trespass or lawfully being on property, whichever. This has created anger. It would appear frustration, anxiety at least, certainly from the person filming the incident. And he's calling security out within their lawful authority and a decision to pull a baton, the visual impact of that baton use. And that's what he's saying, like, you're pulling a baton. Of course, there's swear words inserted, and he's challenging him on it, suggesting either that's excessive or maybe not be appropriate to the circumstances.
Right.
So it would appear to be an argument right off the get-go about the display of force or resolve that security have displayed here and whether or not that's reasonable. And the security officer who you see there right now clearly in the center of the screen on the video seems agitated or somewhat disturbed and angry.
Right.
And that's-
It almost seems like they're frustrated that they can't get the outcome that they're looking for, so they're raising their voices right now.
I'd agree. I'd agree with that.
Okay. All right. Let's continue.
Fuck you. Fuck off.
Get the fuck out of here, man!
I'm recording too, bud. Don't
Okay, stop there, please. It is deemed to be provocative for security or anybody to get close to your face to administer a message and with your tone. And to supporting your thoughts, verbalize or verbiage with swear words is probably not an effective means to communicate with others, especially if we're trying to enforce something in those particular areas. What we've also seen now is the addition or arrival of, I should say, of 2 additional uniformed security officers. I'm not certain if they were summoned, requested to attend, or what the information was provided to those officers to attend, or what they thought they were responding to. I don't know. So at this particular time, to my knowledge, we have at least 4 security officers now, with 1 person with a canine and 1 person monitoring or observing the situation.
Okay. Okay. Good. By the way, this video is on YouTube. It is a public video. And it's very interesting, Steve. A little bit later on, I'll read you a comment from a person that was also a security observing this video, just to share his thoughts and get your thoughts on his sentiment of what he thought.
Okay.
But let's continue. Stop there, please. Yelling. That's usually not indicative of a means to trying to communicate a message.
security guard, who is now, I should say, closes baton and holsters his baton, he appears agitated or angry. And his conduct would suggest irritation, at least, or anxiety. And that's usually does not lead to fruitful results. If you're angry, you're probably in a different level of thinking as opposed to being calm and cool, and we're communicating a message right now.
Emotion is taking over now.
Emotion's taking over, and I usually find when emotion goes up, intellect starts to go down.
Interesting. And also, I think it's, again, the reason why this is also, like the way I would look at this, Steve, yes, we're starting this video at minute 1 of whenever, this could be, as you said, right in the middle of the movie.
It could be.
But what the public is seeing now, they don't know what happened before that. All they're seeing now is security right now are yelling at basically this individual. That's all they're seeing, and a dog barking, right? So it's not good optics when you lose your cool, because people are going to see it from the specific point of where they're seeing it from, and it just doesn't look good. It just doesn't look like someone has control here.
I would agree with that. I would agree with those comments and that observation. And at any point of an altercation or discussion or disagreement, or I'm forcing some aspects of my employment, even if I'm initially angry, I got to take a deep breath, somewhat calm it down to try to start to restore some normalcy to our communication.
No, for sure.
I understand with emotion, there's peaks and valleys to it. That's part of our training. And in this particular area, there is this particular security company. I do know they provide training. I'm familiar with the trainer. It's a good core group of people. I'm not certain of these guards, you could say they're applying their training, but then again, I don't know what they were exposed to prior to. But certainly at this point, you notice the security officer closed his baton, so that immediate threat is either now being remedied or it's no longer relevant. So now the threat that caused you, perceptual threat that caused you to pull your baton is gone. And this particular security officer now is in an ability or position to communicate.
For sure.
That's when you need to seize hold of your training and start to remember your crisis training and your management of resistant behavior environment, including yourself. Training also applies to yourself. That's assuming all the guards did receive training and are current in their training.
Absolutely. And Steve, I'm going to share a tip for those listening. And again, you can correct if you think this tip is off. But one of the things that I always was taught when I was with the City of Toronto, and we kind of passed it on to here, is if you noticed your colleague was getting upset, because look, we're humans. Things are going to happen.
That's right.
Tap them out. Tap them out and step in right now, so you can come in more on a calmer, collected area, because you can identify, wow, this is not effective here. Buddy, just move out. Let me take care of this. And then this way they can cool down while you deal with the situation.
Well stated. And that's absolutely what you do, tap out. If we were in that similar situation, actually with tapping the shoulder, tapping the arm, probably take a step or partial step forward, and you realize that, hey, tag, I'm it.
Okay, perfect. All right.
So back up. He's got his dog on a leash. Get your fucking dog on a leash. But whatever.
If I can make just a pause here. Now, for those listening, you're going to hear a dog barking right for the entire 10 minutes.
True.
Okay. The dog's relationship to its master, to its owner, is basically to protect. So the dog right now is probably getting agitated as well by body language, by yelling, by all this kind of thing. So it's kind of like, almost like, I would just assume that because of the energy is so hard there right now, it's kind of setting off the dog as well.
The dog is doing what I expect a dog to do.
Right.
Security is not doing what I expect security to do.
Okay. All right. Okay. That's a deeper observation than I anticipated coming in, Steve, but that's good. That's good.
Yeah, sorry, I just thought of that. But
No, for sure.
Just in terms of context, I don't want to go to your spot and provoke your canine.
Right.
And that's just not for personal safety measures. I just realized you might want to take a step back, lower my tone, create some distance.
Yes.
Because usually as we get closer to people, there's always that sense of threat or risk. And usually dogs or canines, not that I'm an expert in canines,
Right.
but usually they're far more comfortable with space.
Okay, 100%. And right now, it looks like there's about a foot, not even, between the security and the dog.
Right. I think it's safe to say the canine's on alert.
Right, 100%. Okay. All right, now look. Notice it looks like he got tapped out here.
I'd agree. I agree. Not formally, but or he walked away.
Yes.
In that particular case, you need somebody to take the lead of communications.
Okay.
And we call that like a primary contact officer.
Okay.
That we have contact cover. And usually in that point, you would be in a position to support your colleague, but you would start to communicate with the desire to de-escalate, to put out your situation. You could even say tactically things such as, I'm sorry that we got off on the wrong foot.
Yes.
I know you're angry. I apologize for that. Can we talk for a minute, please?
Okay.
And that's where you start to insert your training, where you start to say, my name is, can I ask your name? I'm here for this particular reason. This is my initial concern. This is part of my job. Does that make sense to you, sir? You try to start bringing in some areas of rationale to a situation that's somewhat irrational.
Okay, that's good. And just again, for those listening or maybe just tuning in, what seems to have sparked the camera person off right now is the fact that a baton came out.
Yes.
That is the main, it seems to be the
crux of the matter.
Exactly.
Yeah, because we all recognize batons. You open up, you hurt yourself.
That's right.
The
I did.
baton for the
I
open
did.
segment,
Pinch my
right?
skin, Steve.
That's right. Sorry about that.
Right. All right.
What? Where are you going now? You want me to throw you on the street?
Now you see the security officer there. He actually put his arm on his colleague. I don't know if you caught that.
Yes.
Which is, in a sense, calm yourself down. And the other security officer standing right there, center of the screen. I don't know if he did it with specific intent or circumstantially, but he stepped in front of his colleague, which perhaps is a good thing to do, good
Yes.
thing to do. And this particular moment, you're going to start to see for the next minute or so, his communications, the volume is much lowered. His,
Right.
his animation, his face is much different. He would appear to be calm, very aware of the camera, looking at the camera.
And there's actually reason to believe that he could be a supervisor, potentially.
Okay,
Potentially.
fair enough.
Why don't you tell that guy to go away so he can de-escalate? De-escalate the situation. No, I'm not. I won't. Look, de-escalate it. Send him inside, man. He's the fucking problem.
Do you hear his tone of his voice?
Yes.
Monotone.
You're a clown, bud.
So while we're hearing some of this stuff happening, Steve, the claim is that this individual was sitting on steps in a private area.
That's what I understand. Private property. Now stop here, please. You have a situation that is an incident certainly moving on. I don't know where the outcome of this will be. And now you have a member of the community, a person in a wheelchair, starting to come into the mix. In this particular case, you might want to take reasonable steps to keep that person at a distance, at a bay, to prevent a distraction and to allow the guards to remain focused with the one particular individual. If this person was, I'm not certain if he is, but if he was trespassing, instead of saying, get the F out of here, he might want to point out, sir, you are trespassing this review, and you're legally bound or duty bound to leave when directed to do so. I'm not certain if you're aware, but are you aware right now that you're subject to an arrest? We could call the police. We could take in. We don't want that.
Right.
He was asking to step off the property, please. I didn't hear any of that sort of verbiage.
Right. And a lot of times, you're actually you're bringing the level down by just communicating. You're going over options. You're like, you know what, man, you're right. Or at least someone's being aware of what could happen. Like this is the consequence to this.
I teach even areas too. If I've angered you, I've pissed you off, sir. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. Allow me the chance to apologize. Allow me a chance to reset. That's not a sign of weakness to talk like that. It's not political correctness. I'm being very, very upfront and honest with you. Those are verbal strategies designed and intended to de-escalate. I'm not calling you out. I'm not embarrassing you. I'm not trying to de-edify you. I'm validating your emotion.
Perfect.
And I'm pointing out there very clearly that I have angered you, and I am sorry. I am sincerely apologizing to you.
Okay.
Don't mean that. However, having said that, I still have a lawful duty to carry on my duties, and my requirements to ask you to remove yourself from this particular area.
Okay.
I didn't hear any of that verbiage.
No. Maybe we'll hear it.
Wait.
Let's continue.
This fucking clown, man.
Now, I know it doesn't help a situation when you have someone in the background calling you a clown and agitating it, but
Well, can you stop there for a sec, please? Name calling, I get that. I always teach people in our programs, at times you have to coat yourself in Teflon. Nothing can stick. If my words can change your personality and your profile, if I get through to you, if I make you angry, I've won. I don't allow a person, to the best of my ability, professionally at least, I don't allow a person to get to me, goad me on, make me say or do something that I'm going to regret later just because you've got through my armor. And my armor is certainly like a bulletproof mind in a sense. Nothing gets through. And you can call me anything you want. I'm not going to respond to it because I'm just not going to allow that change this particular incident.
absolutely. And again, I just felt the need to say it at this present moment right now. Everybody in this video is completely aware that they're being recorded.
Yes, they are.
So where they're not counting on is that will this video go viral or not? You know what I mean?
You don't know what you don't know.
Exactly.
And keep in mind, in this particular social context, I don't know where this video will be seen or by whom.
Right.
But whenever you speak in a public forum, you always might want to consider having to add on the words, Your Honor. Your Honor, this is what I said.
Interesting.
And the court's going to hear what you said with a person being in a position of authority with a baton that's already been displayed, thinking, well, you're going to judge my character and what came out of my mouth. I want you to hear the right thing, Your Honor.
Right. Absolutely. No, that's fantastic. And the thing is as well, which I'm not even thinking this far out, but if something like this was to go to court and, you know, people are watching this video, you know, one could very much, like a lawyer would have a field day with this video.
They would. And, you know, if Mr. Shalnut, David Shalnut, we did recently a podcast on litigation issues.
Right.
That's a segue.
Yeah.
He's saying, do you swear to people all the time?
Right.
Well, no, I don't. So this time you did. So you were angry here. I'm going to suggest you become different when you're angry. Intellectually, you change. And it's just what your conduct, your code of conduct is from your company. Do you realize, by the way, too, it's a code of offense in the Security Act. Or it's a code of offense to be uncivil and to swear at people. Did you realize you could be fined, you could be charged under security legislation?
Right.
Where are you going with that? So if you're going to make the mistakes and errors in judgment and communications, that sets perhaps the standard of who you are and what you are. And the court doesn't really need to ask what you're thinking. They can hear what you're saying.
Okay. Okay. No, that's good. That's good. All right, let's continue.
You're a clown too. Holy fuck.
So it seems a passerby has come in right now in a wheelchair, and they're just
that's right.
explaining to him what's happening.
That's right. And they're not yelling at the person in the wheelchair.
No. And just for those listening and not watching, there's approximately 5 security dealing with this situation right now. Or
That could be the whole shift.
yeah, it could be the whole shift. Yeah.
My dog is clean. Just go inside, man.
He wasn't. He
Now,
was just
I'm not sure about
My man.
this is definitely considered private property, but
What? So what?
Well,
So what? He's allowed
yes,
to sit there.
it certainly would be private property, but within the area is there's spots of access and egress that the general public, you know, attends.
So he hasn't been.
So at what points is there general access up a set of stairs? I do see the sign private property.
He was sitting there. Stay the fuck away from his dog then. It's not
But there's content and context to that.
yes.
If I'm there doing business, if I've had a beverage, you know, am I a customer
Well,
here?
you guys think you're the fucking
Now, the one thing I was reading in the comments section again, Steve, is that what could have started all this, because we're going to just assume right now,
Yeah.
is that if that dog was barking, or if they were sitting in the middle of the steps and then people were scared. I know, for example, the other day I was with my dog. I had to go into Best Buy, and I said, let me just bring him inside. When I was inside there was a family there that were paralyzed.
Oh.
Paralyzed. And my dog is a little cockapoo.
Yeah.
So to
Cute
me,
little thing.
yeah,
I've seen it.
under 20 pounds. However, maybe, just maybe that there was enough presence on that dog. I'm not sure what kind of, it looks like a German Shepherd, it looks like. I could be wrong with my dogs here, but it looks like maybe there was some intimidation here, and then people were complaining about the dog, and
Could very well be.
could have just spiraled there.
I don't want it to suggest that the guards were not doing their job. It's
Right.
not an easy job to ask
Right.
a person. I'm not certain with this particular area whether there are members of the community that are deemed to be undesirable. I'm not trying to be disrespectful when I say that, but there's transients at times and street people that seem to occupy spaces where your general customers need to access and egress.
Right.
And we do have certainly a requirement to move those sort of people on. You're not a customer. You're not doing business here. You just can't hang out.
Right.
And you can't hang out with your dog. You're
Right.
interrupting people's access. And the dog is a disturbance. It's a perceptual threat.
Right.
That's a very valid concern. And before we start to, judge security action, I'm going to suggest that probably their intent was to do something as a part of their duties,
Right.
part of their post orders, and trying to fulfill the obligations of their contract.
Right.
We don't want to walk by those. So what happens to them all is people will choose not to, attend your
Enter.
site.
That's right.
And won't be a customer. We have to take reasonable steps to make certain that doesn't occur.
Right.
So it's difficult for security at times to do the job.
For
Just
sure.
because you disagree doesn't mean that what you're disagreeing about is valid.
Exactly. No, that's good. That's good.
Oh, am I? Oh, okay. Fuck off.
I will tell you that.
Okay.
Bernard!
Okay.
Bernard,
Yeah, yeah.
no. Fuck off. This is city street.
This is private property.
We don't care. We do care. We don't
He's
care.
not doing nothing wrong, you fucking idiots.
Yeah.
Look, and now he's getting in his face.
Really calm down and this.
So, Steve, it looks like the security who was calm is now agitated.
You appear to be, and there would seem to be a certain calm attempt to develop rapport and explain to the person that private property, and that could be in a particular area that you don't want to label you or title you, but you're undesirable and we don't wish you here. And he raises his voice and says, this is private property.
Right.
We do have a right to enforce trespass legislation.
Okay.
Whether you agree with that or not, we do.
Right. 100%.
Private property. And do you have the documents for this dog? Do you have the documents for this dog? Is this his dog or not?
She's fucking big.
Service dog? She's not even in the fucking mall. What do you mean?
See, you know, there's a security officer on the far left.
Guys are
Yes.
clowns.
He's trying to rally the troops, get them back. He's
Right.
tapping his, if
Right.
he said he's a supervisor. No, see the touches, the reassurance
Yes.
touches? Back off. Guys, let's give us some space. This seems to be the presence of the norm here.
Right.
These fucking guys.
And now it seems like we're having a little bit more distance now from the initial, but you can also see now the security is actually yelling at the dog right now.
Right.
Again, I don't think the dog's going to listen. but
Now
but
stop there to see what's just occurred.
yes,
The security officer screen on the right is now pulled his baton in response to the canine barking.
right,
That quick movement. Dogs don't calm down, contrary to what people think. Dogs don't understand you when you speak. They don't.
yes,
You know, Cesar Millan, dog whisperer.
Yes.
I just saw a recent video on that. Like, do you really think when the dog is barking because somebody's ringing your doorbell, the dog understands it's your cousin, it's her cousin, it's your mother, it's your brother.
Right.
Do you really think they understand that? They're responding to sound, and they see you jump, they see you rise to their feet. There's an alarm.
right,
So, yeah, to try to communicate with the canine, good luck.
Yeah.
But point being here is the security officer now has pulled his baton
right,
in relation to the distance of the dog. The dog's in a lead. You do have the opportunity to step back, or you can place your feet firmly in the ground and pull a baton. Those are decisions that you may have to articulate later.
okay. No, good. Let's see what happens here. Oh, okay. So now it looks like the dog actually
Lunge.
lunged at him,
I agree.
and I can't see here because again, according to some of the comment section and people talking video, he struck him. He struck the dog at this point.
Correct.
Okay. Now, in a situation like this, Steve, because people are going to analyze this, right, very closely, was he in his in the right form to strike at this present moment?
Well, yeah, and he did. He was able to execute a strike because the baton was out and it was in his hand. He was actually able to administer a strike. Now, let's just take a look at the rationale behind baton use. If you are, I don't want to use the word strongly, but attacked or lunged at by a canine, yeah, that would be a reasonable situation to strike the dog to create distance.
Okay.
As a means to protect.
Okay.
You don't wish you have your skin or any of your limbs come into contact with the canine. At the same time, that particular moment, the person holding the dog needs to have, certainly there's a lawful requirement to always control your dog.
That's right. He has a duty to do so.
And if your dog lunges forward whilst it's on a lead, you're accountable for that.
Right. And also just to note that the owner of the dog, at no point do I see here where his life is in jeopardy or
No.
threatened for him to allow his dog to lunge forward.
Agreed. And the other side of the coin, too, would be if this, you mentioned about going to court, questions that I could see being provided to this dog owner is what was your lawful reason for being there? You heard security ask you to leave or tell
That's
you to
right.
leave and tell you it's trespass. Why could you not walk away?
Right.
What was your intention? And when your dog is barking, do you agree, would you concur that your dog is now not hostile, but
Yes.
is agitated? Why would you not be a responsible dog owner?
Right.
Break the
Right.
clause and remove your dog from the scene that's causing the dog agitation.
Hmm.
Would you not reasonably predict by taking your dog away from the dog will stop barking?
Right.
Why did you not do that?
Hmm.
Is the dog barking an alert,
Right.
a warning? And you as the dog owner, should you not heed that warning? Let's talk about that for a while.
That's good.
That's what can happen in court.
No, for sure.
Because your dog is barking, the first thing you do is put the dog away.
Right. Exactly.
or take the dog away. This person chose not to do that.
Right.
So if we're going to be talking
It's almost being used as an intimidation factor.
yeah.
Yes.
And if you're looking at now, it's not like a police canine or a security canine. What they have that could very well be there for that reason. But in this particular area, you're the one with the dog, and your dog is barking, showing signs of agitation to uniforms or people trying to lawfully do their job. And just because you might have some swear words, and it doesn't mean you're not still doing your job.
Right.
I could see that maybe that's not the way I should speak, but I'm still doing what my job required me to do. But in the areas of the dog, why did you not back the dog off and allow it to continually be displaying that potential threat?
Right. No, that's good. That's good. All right.
Just trying to be fair.
For sure. And now we can see, but just by this frozen image here, you can see now that there was more leash wrapped initially around his hand.
Yeah.
Saying that there's more leeway right now for the dog to move.
It would appear.
Okay.
Yes.
But the dog completely left his hands right now.
Yeah, it dropped the lead.
Yeah. So he's definitely being bit, the security, because you can see he's touching his leg.
The dog's protecting its owner, bud. Dog's protecting its owner.
Stop there, if I may. Yeah, you hear the gentleman with the cell cam. Dog is protecting his owner. Sure, but as a dog, as an owner of a dog, you also have to protect the public.
Good point.
And if I believe that there's agitation from a canine, what is stopping me from removing my dog from the environment?
Right.
That could become a difficult situation because this particular security officer would also have the right to have this investigated, said I'm a victim of a dog bite.
Right. For sure.
No, she was protecting me.
She was, bud. You guys keep coming towards him. The dog's gonna react. Yes.
You have all that?
Everything, buddy. Last
Send me
5.5 minutes, man.
Please send me everything.
5.5
what?
fucking
What? Look at your white legs. What happened there? Oh, blood bleeding? Are you bleeding? You know what?
So we can see the security has his pants leg pulled up. He is looking at the wound. We can't see any blood
I
at
can't
this
see it
present
from
moment.
here. That does not mean, Constantine, that the skin was not broken.
No, absolutely.
They did it. And you know what? Yeah. It's okay, bro. I got you.
Now,
But
would
yo,
security have the opportunity, position to call the police in? Sure.
Right.
If I were working that particular Jackson Square, I might have considered calling the
Yeah,
police.
I agree with you.
I'm not certain there's any cameras outside the mall. I think to the far right, there could be a camera mounted against the wall there.
Yeah, top right.
I
Yeah.
think so. It looks like it.
Okay. And now into the scene is a new. It looks like a passerby.
A new citizen. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I can't go. No, they're so fucked. Let the cops show up.
Doesn't appear to be any adversarial communication there.
No.
It appears to be some contextual exchange of information,
Right.
but I don't see any agitation with this exchange with this member of the community.
Wait for 5 more guys to show up. Kick the fucking shit out of them.
Right?
So you have a lot of security officers there.
Yeah. I think. What do we see here right now? 6.
You guys are
6.
fucked.
Yeah.
What you just did? You hit my dog with a fucking baton.
Now, stop there. The citizen, subjectively, would have a
Yes.
right to call the police
Yeah.
because if you're suggesting that you struck my dog with a
Right.
baton, it was unlawful, I would also have a complaint. So a police officer, hopefully, to finish their coffee because they could be attending a call. We're thinking, here we go.
Right.
Let
Right.
it work out.
Right. Yeah. 100%. 100%.
No.
Now, this video does go on for approximately 10 minutes. We are nearing towards the end for those listening, but at the present moment, there is no real signs of police, or in the video that I know of, arrived on this scene.
Not that we see.
No.
I seen that from over
And
there.
look,
It was-
police
there
time
was
responses
one
right now
where
have
sitting on the
increased now.
step, they come out, try to pull
I'm not
fucking
certain
heavy.
at this time of day,
Yes.
this particular moment, what a police response would be.
Right.
How a police dispatch would categorize this particular call.
Right.
It's not a crime in progress. There's a dog bite. It likely would be, other than a barking dog noise complaint. There's something more to it.
I got the video.
You could say it was an assault. Subject to police could take a while to get there.
You know
Right.
What they did? On warranted.
And everybody's got their cell phone out now recording something.
Yeah, 100%. And look, in a situation like this, I would look at it as I'm going to bring in supports right now. Okay, and by that I mean calling in the police, because now there is a dog that could potentially take
There
off.
should be some documentation.
Yeah, for sure.
What do you mean? You got it.
And stop there too. If this is the case, why was this person not given a trespass notice or a ban from the event, from the actual Jackson Square Mall?
Okay, so see, why don't we? Because a lot of people that are listening to the show are also very, like, I would say, new to this world.
Okay, fair.
When you go to any environment that is considered private,
Yes.
that means it's not public, which basically means that if
Well,
you're
you're invited to attend the site without or with a fee,
okay,
but there are certain restrictions on your conduct. And sometimes you see signage, no skateboards, no shirts, you need shirts, that sort of
Right.
thing, shoes, whichever. But if you cause a disturbance, that is not something that has to be posted. I can verbally advise you as an agent on behalf of this particular property. I can advise you that you're trespassing and you are right now, you are basically performing something that's deemed to be undesirable of this property. Is restricted behavior. So you're being asked to leave. And if you refuse, I can also issue you a ban or a notice. You are not to be back here at any particular time. We're going to document you. And that could be an arrestable offense for police if they attend the scene. You've been previously ordered or directed not to attend.
right,
It's also an arrestable offense for failing to leave premises when directed to do so. And we as citizens, as an agent on behalf of this property, have the lawful authority to do that. That was something that was certainly within the grasp of security. So I'm going to ask you this. Perhaps there was consideration given by security. I'm certain that they would have the means, the rights on behalf of that mall to act as an agent to say you can't attend here.
right.
But did the officers here show restraint in terms of not administering such a ban notice on this individual? I don't know.
Okay, okay,
I don't know. But they certainly have the lawful authority, this particular, and your dog has just bitten one of our guards. You
Right.
will not, you need to leave the property. If you don't leave, you will be arrested and held for the police to attend.
Okay.
That was certainly getting to that particular area where that could have occurred.
okay, all right.
We've explained that reasonably.
No, absolutely. It's good for people to know that.
It's not a service dog. It doesn't have. Who the fuck cares if it is? He's sitting on the fucking steps. You had no fucking right. No fucking
Now,
right.
the other thing I would be doing, and this is my advice for, security in general or whatever, is that, now it's just, if you are waiting for the police, just ignore. I mean, there's no need to even have a conversation. It's just fueling the fire right now.
I agree. Or deferring it, trying to change the focus to something else.
Right.
If you're on the edge of the property, on the edge of the sidewalk, and you're technically off my property, you're off the property. But there's still agitation, shouting here. At this particular moment, I don't see the benefit of continuing on the
100%.
rhetoric of just an argument. It's like a tennis match, back and forth, back and forth. It's got to be a point break.
Absolutely.
You guys,
Everyone have a life, okay?
you guys interrogated. Shut up.
You're talking to...
And let's stop there for 1 sec, please. And I'll actually for you to make a comment on this
Yeah,
as well in a moment.
course.
But you're CEO of a security company. And if you receive footage of your guards performing this particular way, a couple of things, and I'm not suggesting how you should or you shouldn't look at it, but I don't think this is a 911 incident. I think this is a great training video, certainly to be used as a debrief, a bit of
Right.
an audit in
Right.
terms of how we do things. I'm not certain this particular segment what type of mall this would be, and I don't want to mischaracterize anything. I'm not certain this is in a rough part of town or in an area where we have a lot of crime or there's a lot of transient people. I don't know. And I'm not certain as to how easy is a job this might be
Right.
for the security professionals. And there was no physicality. You didn't see security strike anyone.
Right.
Language was, all right, maybe not pristine. But there are parts of the community where swear words and cuss words is a part of the community. It's a part of that culture. And that is the way we interact with rough areas. We do drop F-bombs and there's no offense from the community that we speak to it. And some of the public could be scratching their head thinking, well, really? Yeah, I'm telling you the truth. There's segments even back in my policing career where, my language might be changed depending on the environment, and that's accepted. It's just part of the norm. So I'm not certain that's the case here, but certainly I'm aware of the security firm. I'm aware of their trainer. I think you'd probably call them out on it would be better, preferential to speak this way. So I would look at this as a training video, not as a video to condemn.
Absolutely, Steve. Here's the thing. As you said, I have a security agency.
Yes, you do.
And the reality is this. I'm never going to be that guy. As the saying goes, he, who has no sin, cast the first stone, right? The reality is that my organization could be privy to a situation like this. And again, for myself, my mandate in everything that we do is to better the industry, to level it up. To me, here we are human, but there's things that we can learn from here.
Sure.
And the reality is that you can not every time can you be given a second chance. Like things could have taken a very, very like that dog could have potentially lunged and gone for like a,
It
an
could have
area.
happened. Absolutely.
There could have been a lot of things. And to me, like you look at it from the very start is what could I have done at the very beginning
Sure.
to diffuse it or de-escalate it a little cleaner.
But we could critique this as a means to improve even our public perception.
That's right.
Not necessarily to criticize you or document inappropriate conduct.
That's right.
But just to enhance what we do to
Absolutely.
the community perception. That's, I think, the spirit of where this should be viewed.
Absolutely.
I would think as well, let's be honest here, I think this person with the dog, it may not be overly reasonable in the way they're portraying themselves, and the person with the cell phone, I don't know if it's his friend or colleague or
Yes.
associate, he is being confrontational. He
Right.
is being adversarial. And due to his conduct, I would have ordered him off the site as well.
Right.
You have no reason to speak to people like that.
Absolutely.
You're causing a disturbance.
Absolutely.
And we're not dealing with you.
right.
We're dealing with a person here who's trespassing, or a prohibited activity is the technical word under trespass. Doesn't include you. You can stand off their property and record, but you need to remove yourself as well, sir.
Mm-hmm.
And, there again, whether this is restraint with regards to which to take that action, I think that needs to be supported because you did not see any unlawful actions in the guards, as I see it.
Right.
And by the way, if a dog is that adversarial with me, I may also consider using my baton, or at least having it out to create distance.
Okay. I agree with all that, Steve.
Sure.
I think right now, as we approach the last 2 minutes, just to kind of put a conclusion to
Yeah.
this story before we give it the final.
You pulled a baton on him. You pulled a baton on him because he was sitting. And this guy, I seen it.
Yeah.
He was sitting there.
Yeah, so it was a private property. And he
Just stay back from him. Why would you tell him? Why? He's not cut. Was he causing a problem? Was he causing any kind of fucking problem? What? Sitting on a fucking step, buddy? This is Canada. We can sit on a fucking step. We can sit on the fucking steps. We can sit on the steps. We can sit on the steps, buddy.
Yeah, so it's again, nothing's really going on here other than just
Well, Constantine, we're just talking about international festivals that you
Yeah.
guys is working on. You know what an activist is,
right.
right? A professional troubleshooter, a person that's there with specific intent to cause turmoil. This was not an action from a person who was trying to communicate, validate concerns. He was swearing. He was trying to be an agent provocateur. He was trying to push people's buttons. He wasn't a saint. Far, far from it. And to take that verbal attack or verbal abuse is very hard when you're just trying to do your job. And I think we also need to look at what these security teams had to deal with. And how would you respond to that if you were a security officer? And a lot of people who are in judgment have no idea what some of the type of personalities that security in this province have to deal with. Very disruptive, very rude, very ignorant people. And there's not many people out there who could be watching this particular podcast thinking, wow, I've never had a person melt down in front of me like that and swearing at me contextually like that. What would I do?
That's such a good point, Steve. The type of work that first responders, security, law enforcement, they're put in situations that the average person in the public will never be in there.
No.
But what it seems the average person in the public's really good at is, I guess, critiquing, right? And I mean, it happens in sports all the time, right?
Absolutely.
How does this guy get him off the, how do they hire him? Trade this to another team? Like the reality is, until you're in that situation, you don't know how your reaction is going to be.
That's right.
But because the whole concept today is what would you do? I think, Steve, maybe just to kind of summarize and close from the top to end, looking at what we just saw today, as you said, this is a learning opportunity here.
It's a training video.
It's a training video to kind of elevate the game to the next piece. From the top, if we were to see it as we saw it right from that moment, someone sitting at the steps and you need him to leave, I would say that the very first thing you want to do is pay attention to your body language.
Yes.
When you're approaching a situation.
Environmental awareness.
Exactly. I think it'll go a lot further. And I'm not saying this happened, but if you approach an individual with a dog, hey, sir, listen, I understand you're sitting down here. Your dog is potentially giving a little bit of, the vibes to some people. Can I ask you if you can please move to the side?
Right.
If that guy at that point said, go screw yourself, I can sit wherever I want.
Right.
Look, sir, I understand that you feel this way, but you do need to leave. I think, look, not to say that would work.
By the way, that may have occurred before we saw the opening of the video.
Right.
It may have.
Right.
We don't know.
Right.
And I'm just saying, if that had been the case, that would have probably changed. And it's a valid comment what you made.
Yes.
But if it had already been said, tried, attempted, and failed, All right, I tried that approach. We call it a first contact approach.
Right,
We teach that part of our safety program. I identify myself. I put out the reasons is for our interaction. I try to establish rapport. I try to use all my polite words. And you're telling me to pound salt wherever to go.
Right.
I tried.
Right.
But some people, by the way, despite your valiant and vigilant means to attempt, will not communicate with you. They have their own personal agenda. They just don't care. And they're argumentative. Or if you happen to be an activist where you're trying to push you and goad you into something, I don't know if that's what we're dealing with. But if you're standing or sitting in an area that's public property and your dog is barking at people, patrons, yeah, I would expect as a patron of your, mall, security to try to do their job.
Right.
Now, we're just talking about the quality of the job.
Right.
They did nothing wrong. There's some things that can be tweaked, and I'm certain their trainer will work that out, smooth it out, say, corrected.
Right. 100%. And look, this video technically speaking, could have been 2 minutes. And what I mean by that,
it's just in terms of response and outcome.
Right. So maybe some other takeaways from here are, and again, I've seen many situations where when you have too many people involved in a situation, it could create almost like an us versus them. So when you have like 5, so maybe scale it down maybe to like 2 people opposed to 3 if you really feel that you need to have that many people out there.
Agreed.
Second thing that we can, or third thing we can say is that, positioning and body language, right? If you do have to pull your baton out, was the reason justified to do so? Again, we don't know because we don't know what happened before the video. But also, what would really limit quite a bit of this video is the yelling and the screaming and the profanity from the security. If that was reduced to 0, and it was just calm tones, then at that point, it could have also taken a different direction.
This has just brought back a memory for me 20 years ago, and much music. And when I worked there, when I left policing, we had a very, very radical individual, very disturbing out in front, and very frightening in his appearance and his size. And the guards who worked with me and during our tenure there were concerned, almost afraid or timid to speak to him. So I thought, okay, well, I'll go out and speak to him. But how I approached him, I'm not suggesting this is what you have to do. First thing I did, I brought him a coffee. And I put a coffee. Would you like a coffee? Oh, yes, please. I didn't know I just made a double-double. I didn't know. Oh, that'd be great. Thank you, sir. Suddenly a whole different rapport. And I met that human side, right? And said, by the way, my name is Steve. I run security here. And your name is? And gave me a name. And I just started the report. When our talent, our people coming by, you're yelling at them and carrying on. Why? What have we done? Oh, I'm sorry. And you never did it again. And what it cost me was a buck. Back then, a coffee was a buck, right? It's a buck of my money, my time to invest. I'm not saying you need to physically provide a person a coffee, but it's an outreach with an open hand. I start off soft, and I can ramp it up if need be. I'm not saying that was or wasn't done here, but that's the way to approach people to know before. And you're able to put fires away, how people are treated. And even if you're obnoxious, and even if you're really irritating, maybe if I say certain things, you'll change.
Right. No, that's good. That's good. Any other takeaways, Steve, as we close here, that you would throw out to the industry as best practices or anything at all that people can benefit from to try to avoid situations like this?
Great question. Yeah, just a couple of tips. Just emphasize, please, all the trainers out there that have impact or supervisors or even managers or supervisors, security firms, just remind your team, remind your guards, your officers, just remind them too, let's always try to engage people verbally. Let's try to lower our tone. Let's not try to lose our anger. Try to keep that focus. And at the end of the day, try to talk yourself down as opposed to putting your position where you have to take somebody down. Okay, perfect. Any other closing words, Steve? Until we meet again, my friend, stay safe. Stay safe, everyone. Have a fantastic one. Hope you enjoyed this one. Take care. Thanks for joining me in today's podcast. This podcast was created for protectors in the fields of law enforcement, executive protection, security, and anyone looking to level up their mindset. If you are learning from this podcast and you're enjoying it, please subscribe to our YouTube channel at The Sentinel Mindset. That's a zero-cost way to support us. In addition, please subscribe to the podcast both on Spotify and Apple. And on both Spotify and Apple, you can leave us up to a 5-star review. If you have questions for me or comments about the podcast or guests you would like me to consider on The Sentinel Mindset, please post all comments on YouTube. I do read all the comments. Please also check out our sponsors, thearenatoronto.com. The Arena was created to help all those in the fields of law enforcement, security, and all that achieve their fitness goals. I want to thank our producer, Matthew Doyle, and creative supports, Jaslene Singh, who help me with this podcast every week. We value your feedback and are here to support you. Tune into the Sentinel Mindset every week where we look in the mirror to make real changes and explore what it takes to achieve greatness in your craft.
This podcast is brought to you by Executive Protection Lifestyle Canada. Make sure to drop by next week and don't forget to subscribe.